Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in once again. We are here, Sohmalife, and we are so grateful to bring you this message here today. We're going to be talking about the Akashic Records. So we have master teacher Lynn LaBorde here, who's going to be speaking about her personal experience with the Akashic Records and how this can help you to open up and awaken yourself in different ways. So we're so excited to be here with Master Lynn. And Lynn is just going to start us off talking about her experience with the Akashic Records and how she began to learn how to read them.
Thank you. I laugh every time you call me master. I'm an advanced practitioner, but I have definitely put in about 10,000 hours in my lifetime, which is what Malcolm Gladwell calls someone who's
Calls the
mastered
master,
something.
yeah.
Yeah, in doing spiritual healing and counseling, and basically kind of like life planning and life revealing with people. So when I first came across the Akashic Records, I was about 11 years old. My mom had given me a copy of a book called The Sleeping Prophet by Edgar Cayce, who was one of probably the most well-known psychic in the world. He would go deeply into a trance and he would bring forth information from some body of knowledge. And he had no memory of it. And it was information about people's past lives and what was still affecting them in this lifetime. And I thought, oh my God, that's incredible. He talked about past lives and I was hooked. He would bring back information about what foods people needed to eat that would heal them. And I just found that extraordinary. So I had the opportunity several years ago to have my records read. And then the woman who taught the quintessential book on how to read the records, her name is Linda Howe, and the book is called How to Read the Akashic Records. She wrote the book about 30 years ago and has been practicing and teaching ever since. I had the opportunity with almost 50 people around the world to do a 3-month training with her. And we walked out of there with a certificate that said, you know, you are an advanced practitioner for reading the Akashic Records. And then it became apparent to me that this was something that I could teach people as well. And what happened for me the very first time I opened the records was I got completely freaked out. The records started screaming at me, halls of Amenti, halls of Amenti, halls of Amenti, and jumping up and down. And I didn't know what that meant. And so I closed the records. It was like slamming a book shut. It's almost like a Harry Potter moment. And then I felt like brave enough and courage enough, you know, to go back in. But one of the most significant readings that I had was, oh my God, my father had been absent from my life for about 11 years, and we'd had a very, very painful and tumultuous relationship, and he was coming back in. And the story in the family was that he was very sick with Alzheimer's and dementia. And I didn't know that I could see him. I didn't know what that was going to be like, but I figured he'd gotten much older, and he you know, had some memory issues, like severe memory issues, and would he even remember me? But I thought, you know what? I can forgive anything. I'd been doing this study of the Course in Miracles. So I asked one of the girls that I taught to please open my records. And the question that I asked was, why am I so afraid of my father? Not to be, not like a victim of, but more like knowing that I had something to do with it. Like, why would I have chosen that relationship?
Yeah.
And she just immediately went into incredible detail saying, you know, almost 500 years ago in Lithuania, you were his daughter and you had a very disturbing relationship. He actually would have you be an escort for older men who would pay to be with you, and that he kept you in poverty and he kept you in rags. And you were trapped in this, you know, lifestyle. And there was a dressmaker who would come in, and once a month she would buy you these gorgeous ball gowns. And, you know, that was something that you looked forward to. And one day there was a young man who came and you two fell in love, and he asked your father for your hand in marriage. And your father said no and forbid him to ever come back. But it passed secret notes back and forth through the servants. And one day you went and stole some gold coins where your father kept all of the coins. You knew his secret hiding space. And when the dressmaker came the next month, you paid her to make you some clothing so that you could run away. You said you'd fallen in love. And she's like, oh, sweetheart, I'm so happy for you. But what, you know, you didn't know is that she directly went to your father, showed the gold coin that you had stolen. And when he found out, he became so enraged at the idea of me leaving him that he drugged me by the hair, took me to the center of town, and had me stoned to death. And I was like, you
Wow.
can't make this stuff up. Like, she's
Yeah,
not that creative. I'm not this creative.
that's really powerful.
Right? It's the incredible attention to detail, the unbelievable stories that come out of the records.
Yeah.
And so I took that into my own healing practice, and I went and I did my past life work on it. And, why did I choose that? And I saw then this other lifetime where I had commissioned my father as one of my champions, along with someone else who I'd had a very painful relationship with, to be my heroes and to go and to destroy towns and villages. I was this, queen. And so it was interesting. It was like the karma of it all comes back full circle.
Coming
So
back. Yeah, exactly.
when I finally got to see my dad the next week, he looked at me and he goes, "Who do we have here?" And then he goes, "Oh my God, sweetheart." And ever since then, it's been such an incredible opportunity to not only forgive him, but to forgive myself. And he is now in my care. And I am now
Yeah.
his caregiver. And I got him into a beautiful home where they're taking remarkable care of him 24/7, which is what he needs. So I know that there is healing and there is redemption and there is forgiveness that's available in the records. And it's phenomenal. Like the most pertinent and personal and painful relationships that we have can be healed through a person's journey through the Akashic Records.
That's so incredible. And, hearing about your story, hearing about how all of these past lives are connected, like, what do you think is the power in looking into somebody's Akashic records and like understanding what you sort of went through and how you found your healing? Like, what is the greatest intention in this?
I think that the intention for all of us is to come to what I call a field of neutrality.
Mm,
There is a being who calls himself Metatron, who is considered to be the being that all sacred geometry and all of creation manifests through. He's considered the highest of the archangels. And he and the woman that he channels through have been with me as my mentor for almost 5 years now. And she's been a friend of mine for over 30 years. So I trusted her and I knew the authenticity of what she was bringing through. And what he talked about is that the greatest thing that we can do in life is to become neutral like a tree. And I believe that when the truth is presented to you, it may be incredibly painful, but it brings you to a field of neutrality. It brings you to a place where you say, this is the truth. And all of us have this incredible capacity, Alicia, to be able to feel when the truth is being told. We just know, we go, oh my God, that resonates with me. And if the pyramid is, or the triangle is the strongest structure in the universe, it's made up of three sides. And I consider it to be the positive, the negative, and then the neutral field. It's like our
and that
light
kind of like holds it all
Mhm.
together.
Exactly. And the pyramids are made of triangles. And when you get down to the core and the basis of sacred geometry, that's actually what everything in the universe is made of.
I have these sacred geometry earrings, and it's
Oh
just
my
like
God, I
it's a
love that.
Sri yantra with like everything connected together in triangles, and that's
Exactly.
another concept. So sometimes when people see visually the Akashic records, how would you describe it looking like?
It's interesting. When Linda trained us, she said that really only about 5% of people can see in the records, but I have all of my clair abilities, my clairvoyance to see, my clairaudience to hear, my claircognizance to know, and my clairsentience. They're fully opened. So when I went into the records, I saw these beings, and it looked like these 7 beings that were sitting on these thrones, but their backs were to me, and they had like these hooded cloaks on, and they were known as the lords of the records, and they're the ones that are responsible for kind of maintaining the integrity of the records. And then I was eventually introduced to the idea that I was one of the guardians of the records, and the halls of Amenti were where the Akashic records were kept in Atlantis, and it was then moved to Egypt, and according to Edgar Cayce, exists underneath the paw of the Sphinx. Like if you went to the front right paw of the Sphinx and threw a football, as far as I could throw it, not a football player, that that's where the halls of Amenti, or the records are kept. But it's also, to those who can access it, it's contained in this energetic kind of etheric realm. And what you can see inside of the records, even if you can't see visually, is you can see and you can feel and you can hear and you can just know every single aspect of all of your incarnations, and not only yours, and not only here on earth, all dimensions, all lifetimes.
Yeah.
And I like to explain that it's more like it's happening in a sphere. So imagine a mirror ball with, hundreds of little mirrors on them. And each little square mirror is a reflection of a simultaneous lifetime. So when you go in and you heal one aspect of self, say you heal jealousy, you heal that through all of your incarnations. The healing that I had with my father reverberated out to my family. They saw me care for someone that we had always considered to be an issue in my family with love and respect and tenderness. And you know what's really fascinating? My three nieces and my sister-in-law are all coming to the next training of the Akashic
Oh,
Records.
wow. That's
I'm,
so powerful. Congratulations.
thank
That's
you. I'm
amazing.
so excited. I think they always say you can't be a prophet in your own land, but when your own family is willing to come and find out the work you do, that's definitely, way off the beaten path.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
they all got to see us heal one of the most painful dynamics in our family, which has been my relationship with my father. So
Yeah.
it's made a huge impact. It's rippled out.
And seeing that work personally in your life, that's just a huge testament to the power of these records and what kind of healing and information it provides.
Yeah.
For somebody who's looking for an Akashic record reading, who this is kind of their first time experiencing something like this, what would you recommend to them, and what's the sort of what kind of advice would you give for somebody?
Sure. People come to me and they said, should I do a reading or should I do the training? And I always recommend that you start with a reading. It's kind of like dipping your toe in the water.
Exactly.
And there are a lot of people that I've trained that read the records. I've trained hundreds of people to read the records, and I've done hundreds and hundreds of readings myself. People read in different ways. I'm actually trained as a full body trance channel, and my soul's origin is as an oracle. So I actually channel the information, which means that either the masters, teachers, or the loved ones of the lords of the records come through with the information when I'm sitting with someone. So it's a very, very different experience. But I have one girl who reads the records by laying her hands on people. I have one girl who reads the records by flipping people's tarot cards. I have
Yeah.
one girl who reads the records very consciously. I have one girl who goes into incredible detail. I have one guy who reads the records and he draws as he reads.
Wow.
Yeah. So everybody has a different way of accessing the records. And someone does not have to be a psychic or a medium or a channel. Everyday people are reading the records. Everybody has access to their own records. And through a very simple prayer, you're literally a prayer away from being able to read the records of somebody else.
Yeah. And I actually remember when I read the records with you and, having that experience, like allowing you to go in there and have that deep kind of view. I remember I was actually healing a relationship in my life, and I just had so many different questions about this relationship and what the purpose was. And I think that was actually one of the first readings I had done with you, was the Akashic record reading. And I remember you tapping so deeply in, and you went into this, really deep meditative state, and you were able to just pull up all this information. And I remember hearing it, and it just resonated so much with my soul. And it was like about this relationship that I really needed to release in my life, and just hearing different aspects about it, seeing things from a different perspective, kind of validated me in a lot of ways. And it made me feel like what I went through wasn't as big as I was making it out to be. It was like about seeing the bigger picture in my life, like, okay, this is just a lesson in the grand scheme of things. And it kind of gave me a lot of ease and tension from those worries.
Beautiful. That's the thing that's really extraordinary. It's not just the peep into the past or even the peep into the future. It's about, if you have something that's impacting and impinging on this lifetime, it's got a correlation somewhere else. And when you can go to the root of that, I call it like dominoes. All these dominoes are lined up. And when you can go to the source domino and you knock that over, it flattens the entire energy of that line so that it is no longer afflicting you within this lifetime.
That's so powerful. And honestly, like, it really does work. There's so many things that we build up, and we kind of create all of this trauma, right? And it's like all stacked together. But when you start to take them out one by one, that impact of like depression, of anxiety, it starts to leave, and it leaves room for this incredible healing.
Somebody once said that the truth will set you free, but first it'll piss you off. And
That's so true.
I think that sometimes the truth hurts. But what it's having to do is it's having to like cut through like a hot knife through the shell of the ego. Because what's beautiful about me for the records is it is a dimension that is beyond ego. It is just
Yeah.
pure and simple truth. You know, if you go to a restaurant where they sing and dance for you, that's kind of like life. But if you go to the library, the librarian isn't the most gregarious person. The librarian's like, make sure not to talk in the library. The Akashic Records are like that. Like it's this library, this wealth of information. The other thing that I think that's really important for people to know is to come with specific, what I call specific self-chosen questions.
Yeah.
Things you want to understand, things you want to know. Why do I always have the same thing happen to me at work? Why do I always date the same kind of people? Why do I always feel attracted to this? Why do I feel repelled by that? What is my life's purpose? Why do I love cats and hate butterfly? I mean, like whatever. I mean, never butterflies, but maybe. But
Who knows?
right? Whatever people's afflictions are, whatever people's pains are, whatever people's patterns are, there's a reason for them, and there's an answer as to why that exists for people inside of the Akashic Records.
That's really powerful, and those patterns that are repeated to us in our life over and over again. There's this concept that I read about, and it's basically like the universe will keep presenting you with the same lesson over and over again until you see it, So if you guys who are watching are noticing patterns in your life, and if you're kind of like, why am I going through the same relationship over and over again? Why do I find myself in this cycle? Contacting Lynn and getting an Akashic record reading can really help you to see and understand that, to see beyond, those barriers that you've been putting up, because that's what it is. You have blinders on. You're not able to see on the outside. The records are that outside, so you can understand the root of what it is that you're experiencing,
It's the difference between when you're in a battle and you've got someone who's on the front lines and they're fighting, but the general has like the 30,000-foot view and can see everything that's going on.
Exactly.
Have these people move here. When you're in the records, you get like a 30,000-foot view of your life, and you get to understand like all of your existence and why it's happening, and the coincidences and the synchronicities, and understand that you actually designed every single aspect of it. And that's an incredibly adult conversation.
That is so true. And incredibly adult is a great way of putting it, because you really need to have this sense of wanting to heal yourself to go into the records. It's not about you coming up with excuses anymore. It's like, all right, I'm finally ready to look at this and look at the truth in the eyes, because
and take responsibility for it. Yeah,
that's exactly.
there was one girl I was doing a reading for, and she had a dynamic in her life that was painful for her, and we went to take a look at it. And what she saw, she didn't want to see, she didn't want to own, and she actually left in the middle of it. And then she came back and she said, okay, I'm willing to look again, because she knew that there was no, like, she couldn't hide from it. So it takes courage. It takes incredible courage, because there could be stuff down there that can be really intense. But the thing that I know is that we're guided in every step that we take. We're never given more than we can handle. And I'm gifted enough and I'm trained enough to get anybody through anything. And that was actually something that was told to me by my spiritual teachers, which was that, anyone that's put in front of me, I know how to, and I am able to help them.
That's so amazing, and I can make a testament that that's true, that you really know how to hold people through whatever they're experiencing. And just to give you guys a little bit of a hint, where Lynn and I will be doing another series next week about, more in-depth healing with spiritual services, talking about her psychic surgery techniques. So that's going to be really incredible, and a very opening conversation about how deep these healings can truly go. And I'm just a testament to this incredible healing that she's done in my life. So I'm just so grateful. But if you guys are interested, I definitely recommend getting in touch with Lynn for this Akashic record reading. It's definitely one of the largest steps that you can take on your spiritual wellness path and truly understanding your soul. This is for somebody who's really ready to dive in more deep and to see and experience the depth of their soul.
It is a soul level resource. truly.
That is so true. Is there anything you wanted to add about the Akashic Record readings, or, you know, just what it can offer and provide to other people?
Um, you know, in another video, I was describing a client who had felt like he had a blockage in his heart, and we found out what the blockage was, and we helped him to remove it. And then this girl said, you know, I heard about what you did with that guy, you know, with the axe in his heart from a previous
Oh, yeah.
lifetime. And she said, you know, I'm so nervous about that. And I said, look, everybody's going to have whatever their issues are, you know, but again, I promise you, this is a life that you've created. All of the lifetimes that you've had, you've 100% taken part in. And if you're willing to take responsibility for your life, if you're willing to take the next steps forward in your journey, I don't know of any other resource finer, better, more profound, and more healing than being able to access the Akashic Records.
That's so true. And it's really about, you know, looking those shadows right in the face and saying that, okay, I'm ready to
100%.
heal.
Yeah,
But
no,
through
100%.
doing that, it leaves room for you to become this amazing, better person, you know, truly in tune with that higher version of yourself. Because not only are you doing that shadow work, you're becoming more in tune with the true expression of your soul's energy, which is so powerful.
It's
Great.
true. It's true. Alicia, thank you so much for this. This has been
Yeah.
delightful.
It was such an honor. And like I said before, guys, if you're interested in Akashic Records reading, which I definitely recommend, it's such an amazing step in your spiritual wellness journey. Visit www.sohmalife.com and get in touch with Lynn for an incredible reading that will guaranteed to change your life. So
Thank
thank you for tuning, guys.